It's a story that has to be told.
We're here to really showcase what art can do and how it can move people.
When you're on your feet, you're celebrating. When you're on your feet, you're making, you're creating, you're being a part of something new, of the next project.
This show redefines what it means to be an American.
You realize that you're a part of something huge and something that really moved many, many people.
Can't think of my senior year without having done this show.
The journey that these kids have gone on is one to remember.
On Your Feet began at the very end of my junior year. That's when the audition process began.
It was very contentious, competitive. We are fortunate that we have such a great and talented group of kids this year. Also, we had an open audition, so it was open to many of the other students in the school. The process included, of course, them singing a solo, usually from like a pop musical, and then they had to learn a dance number, a short dance number, and then that's how they were auditioned. There were two tiers of auditions. There were the auditions for just dance ensemble, and then there were auditions for the vocal performers and, of course, the leads.
I got casted as a dancer, and then we began vocals and learning the songs during summer, and it just picked up from there, and it's continued ever since then.
On Your Feet started for us right when we came back, the beginning of the school year.
Mr. Rivera was like, oh, print this book out. And I was like, what book? I didn't even know it was a musical this year. And then he like sent it, and then I printed the book. I didn't know what to expect. And then we just started rehearsing.
I knew that this was the cast to do it. Like, I don't think that it could have just been done by any cast. Like, these kids were a very, very special group.
Miss Q had approached me in the summer of 2021 with this show, saying that it was going to make troop history. It was going to be our biggest show that we've ever done. And she wanted me to head the team.
We found out it was going to be this big production because the theatrical rights worldwide gave us the rights to perform On Your Feet and to be the first ever high school production to do it, which is a crazy opportunity. So we were all super excited for it.
The company had asked the state director for thespians what school they thought could do a show and do it well and be true to the ultimate like cultural like impact of it.
Their pitch to us was, we want a Miami-based school to tell a Miami-based story.
The licensing agent talked to me. I was super excited to do it. He sent me a perusal, which is like a preview of the script. And then he told me, cut away, do whatever you need to do to make this like able to be done at high school level.
There's dozens of magnet schools in Miami-Dade County. There's hundreds of magnet schools in Florida. And they chose us.
And so they said that we would be the ones to do it.
On Your Feet has a very big impact in our like community because it's a story that we can all relate to here in Miami.
I feel like it amplifies Hispanic voices and inspires the community through a relatable story with heart.
I mean, I think this show resonated with every single aspect of our community and beyond.
We have always stood out, and being able to come together, which is one of the values that is taught in the story, and being able to create what is on your feet, I think was really the reason that we were chosen to do it and what it meant for the community.
I feel like it tells a story that you can make it even if everyone around you is telling you not to. And to never give up because, these two Cuban immigrants who were told that they will never make it, they can only sing in Spanish, they can only stick to one thing. And I feel like, again, that's a big inspiration to many people, especially in the Hispanic community.
It was nice to hear local Miamians say, hey, this was our story that we just saw. And a lot of other people who don't understand our story, specifically not just the immigrant story, but the Cuban story specifically, that is so inbred into Miami. That was probably the most prideful moment. There wasn't a moment that I didn't look and see like my parents struggle through this show.
I think the communal impact of On Your Feet is communicating the message that Gloria and Emilia wanted, not just for them, but for their music. And we did that through practicing the whole musical itself and performing it. And through that, we as artists learn to appreciate the music and their journey to get their music out to the public.
As far as impact on the students, it helped them become better musicians because they really had to raise the bar in order to achieve that music, because all the music that was in the musical was truly the sound machine music, meaning that they didn't water things down.
And I think that there's also communal impact for the audience, as now we're spreading what we've learned to them, and then hopefully they would fall in love with the music and the story just as much as we did.
And if we can get the audience to be affected the right way, like they were hoping their story does, and here's a younger generation that a lot of times doesn't understand the same story, telling their story and learning about their story, I think that they really felt good about it.
It was great when we first put it together, but then it evolved into something even more polished and even more finalized by the time that we were able to take it to Tampa.
Let's all gather up right here. Loading.
Getting into it, we really like had this goal, like you got to make this good enough, because we've never been chosen for main stage. We've never been chosen to present the largest production that is put up in the Florida State Thespian Festival.
The process in Tampa starts way before Tampa.
I remember looking at a lot of Gloria's old performance videos and trying to take a lot of inspiration, certain movements she would do. So I remember looking, like, whenever I would go home from rehearsal, I would look in the mirror for like an hour, just like going over the songs and seeing what movements worked and what movements didn't work. And I'd be like, no, I need to do this, I need to do this. And then in rehearsal, I would improve each time.
This is the first musical that I have ever done before, and playing the lead and playing Emilio specifically, who I can relate to a lot, because on stage, playing that role, I didn't feel like I was acting. I felt like I was just being myself on stage, because we basically have the same type of personality.
People don't know how much work it takes to put a production of this size together, and the blood and sweat and tears and time that you have to get away from your family, away from homework, away from doing all the other things that high school students are plagued with.
It became very difficult and very overwhelming at some points to keep up with 7 hours of schooling and then 5 hours of rehearsal after school. Being in school for 12 hours was a lot, and then to go home and have to do work, it became extremely overwhelming at a lot of points, and I needed to practice and better my time management skills.
Working a full teacher schedule while still doing after school rehearsals, and then also still performing 2 additional shows at the same time for our other competitions that we go to, our festivals.
We had to do all kinds of bringing together of elements, right? So like getting transportation for the kids, getting transportation for the set, paying for all of that. Seeing if we could use like a fly system, as we don't have a fly system, so how were the pieces gonna adapt to the other stage? Then the kids were supposed to work throughout the entire process to build the set, get the costumes ready, get all of the props ready and everything, get themselves ready, go on stage, do a full performance, finish the show, then strike or like take down everything within 2 hours. So it was the setup was 5 hours, the show was 2.5 hours, and our strike was 2 hours. And if we went over 1 minute, the union guys that worked at the house were gonna charge us 4 hours of their work time. So we were under like major pressure.
There was a lot of high expectations, right? And in this school, we're being looked at like through a microscope.
As a director, you're under a lot of scrutiny to please everyone, and if you don't, it's like that's your name on the line.
The stakes that we were at was definitely a struggle.
Being in Tampa was a lot. It was very overwhelming.
Performing for 3,000 people is really scary.
Oh my God, I got there and I had a panic attack and I started crying and I was like, there's no way I'm doing this.
Having every single school, 3,000 people from different schools all over Florida watch the show. I mean,
because we're used to performing in front of 700 people, not 3,000.
The audience was like a sea, like it never ended.
But the crowd was electric, and everybody was extremely supportive.
I'm very excited to watch. I've actually never heard of this show before, but I heard that it's good, and I'm really excited to watch it.
I'm super excited actually because I love Gloria Estefan.
I had a kid come up to me in state and he was like, I'm one of the only Hispanic people in my school, and to see you guys doing that with so much flavor, with so much culture, with so much love, it really made an impact on me.
It really proves to you that the work pays off.
Being able to perform our last job was just, okay, this has to go as best as it can. And once we did that and the confetti cannons went off and we had no more cues left to and no more people to wrangle and move out of wings, just that moment, I think there was an overwhelming sigh over headset and we were just like, that's it, we did it.
As amazing as the show was, some bad stuff did happen.
My ankle just folded in. And I broke my tights and I twisted my ankle. So now we're here.
Breathe.
Gonga came, just big jump, got injured. Hip.
No, but it's because he went out 100%.
So,
he was killing it.
A lot of people were worried about oh, how's Sheena doing? How's his hip doing? And I'm like, guys, I'm not fine, because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, but I'm gonna just work with it and keep going till the show ends.
This wasn't just all about me, it was about the whole crew, everybody that was involved in the show. So I wasn't just gonna give up.
Any night is not worth your entire life. I think that it's important to know your limits and you have something to prove, but not to the point where you should hurt yourself permanently. There's always a way to work around it, and you're still a big part of whatever you're creating.
The whole thing was chaotic, but at the end of the day, it was very rewarding, and I couldn't have had it any other way.
It's just been so surreal, but we finished it, and even though it was a little bit, we had our little bit of ups and downs, it's pretty good. Yeah, we finished the show, and I think everyone did amazing, and it was really awesome to be able to help people with their sound and be able to be heard and show that stories.
As a kid, I always dreamed of being and performing in a place super big and wild and have this energy, and I'm really glad that I had this opportunity. The fact that the class of 2020 started in a small cafetorium stage doing Mamma Mia to 4,000 people seeing us do On Your Feet, it is very surreal, and I'm very, very proud of us. I almost cried backstage. So we just finished our performance at Morsani Hall, and it was literally insane. The audience, it was full, everyone was giving so much life, and it just built up our show so much, and they were all so into it, and it was the best experience ever. I don't even know what can top it, but it was crazy, and I think that's a moment that I want to relive over and over again. It's I think that was the best moment of my life. It was so much fun.
It's incredible. It's an incredible feeling having all those people just love you, love the energy that you give them, the energy that they give back is what makes me want to continue to do more. And it's just this huge stage, it's just amazing performing. It's an incredible feeling as nothing else.
Opening night, I felt comfortable because we had already done it in Tampa and it had gone really well. So when we did it here opening night, I felt very comfortable, and I was just excited to get it out to our local community.
People would ask me if I was nervous or anxious. I just felt excited. I just wanted to put the show out there because we've been rehearsing this for 10 months. So I know the show like the back of my hand. And I felt no matter what I did on that stage, it couldn't be wrong. So I didn't feel nervous. I just felt like I'm excited to show people what I have.
Our kids are so good at what they do, the tech crew and the actors, that there was a moment where you just think, man, I don't have to worry. I can just sit here and let them run things and do that.
The faith that was put into us was kind of weighing on our shoulders.
I feel like we all became one with like what we were doing.
It's in our bodies, it's in our souls, and we know the play like the back of our hand.
We knew the show was ready.
The magnitude of this show was immense. It was definitely the biggest show that I've ever stage managed.
There's an extremely large cast, and because of how many people we have in the cast, we need to have a large crew as well, for things like props. We have a very large prop collection that we use for the show, and costumes. You have to figure out how to consolidate your objectives and everyone in a way that everyone is doing their job and being efficient.
It's like you keep asking yourself, like, how much further can we go with it, you know?
I think that our students rose to one of the biggest challenges they're going to face in their next coming years.
Even when we bumped into problems, they just solved it. And that moment made me realize that the training that we have spent the last 4 years putting into these students and getting them ready for any type of occurrence pays off. And that was it.
I trusted the product, and I had such a great time putting the show together. Like, it wasn't a chore or laborious or torturous to put this show together. It was a joy. It was like such a good time. It was a party, you know?
You know, just seeing, you know, what your work can become, really, and what it is becoming in front of your eyes is what I think was really important for the entire community, the entire Miami area.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American Music Awards welcome back with love, Gloria Estefan.
Oh, good. Oh, awesome. That's awesome.
You know what, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to have our stories represent the immigrant experience here, because we felt, Emilio and I, that it was very important to remind people of what immigrants have contributed to this country. We've been able to do so in the world of music.
A lot of the audience members said that they remember living that story. So to be able to go up there and carry on that tradition and to continue to tell that story was an honor.
We wanted to do what our music has done worldwide, which was to inspire the audiences that went. So imagine now, and I remember saying to someone in that reading, I said, I will be excited the day that I can watch this in a high school and see young kids doing this production, because I think it can work anywhere.
Oh my gosh, knowing that Gloria was watching us perform was both scary and exciting.
I'm not kidding, and I know because I told my sister during the show, you have done some of my favorite interpretations ever. Famous, you like tore it out of the park better than anybody ever on Broadway.
First of all, it's not every day you get to meet the people whose story you're telling.
Telling the story of Gloria and Emilio Estefan is definitely something that we don't want to get wrong. It's a very powerful story.
I was just nervous that, again, I was going to do the role justice because she's going to watch it. And whenever I was performing, I kept thinking, like, what is she thinking in this moment, especially during some of the traumatic events of the story, like the bus crash, and some of the good moments, like during Coming Out of the Dark. I'm like, how must it feel for her to relive this while watching a new generation of actors perform their lives?
You know what I love? You guys brought so many nuances and new things that you knew that when there was any kind of challenge that you couldn't, you know, recreate the original. I prefer no recreations, I prefer interpretations, which is what you did with each and every one of the roles here.
They had said it best too when they said it's nice to see not just our generation or the generation after us, but 2 generations down, tell the story that we had in our lives. And I think when I heard them say that, that made me very proud of what we did.
So the play has done exactly that. It has really reached out and touched hearts that are all the way from little children to, older people, and it always thrills me. It never gets old.
I think it just brings together the Hispanic community that is already here, more so than before, in representing a story that was put on Broadway that really puts us in the limelight like no other story really has, as the Cuban experience doesn't really get shown in Hollywood and most mainstream media. So I think in terms of that, that's the way it's brought the community together. It's just given us more exposure.
We are happy to be able to represent a culture that is different because, it is no longer the same Cuba that I left when I was 2. And the immigrants that have come here, the different generations, have also grown and changed. And it makes me really happy to see that young people like all of you still carry your culture proudly and that it is still an important part of you.
When your family comes to see it and you see your grandmother crying in the audience at Consuelo's portrayal of the grandmother, and in that scene, knowing that that's what they went through, it's just really great to see.
Like, to go from looking up to her to telling her story is so inspirational, and I'm honored to have been in her presence and to have heard her words of just utter shock and love for the play. It was amazing.
All the different places that we're from only enrich you, and I think it's important to embrace and know where you come from, who you are. We're a mix of different things, and I think that just strengthens us, and it makes me very happy that we're able to put that message out in the show.
Never let anybody tell you that things are not going to work. Things can work, and you proved that tonight. Congratulations, you did a great job.
I wasn't really thinking of it too much to the point where I realized how important they are culturally, and just in general, they are an icon, and being able to tell their story and impress them at our age, and them noticing and thanking us, and just being so proud of what we've done and how we do it is so phenomenal.
The night that we performed for the Estefans was probably the most notable night of the entire 10 months that I've been doing this show. The energy was unlike any other night that we had performed it. The love was abound, and it was the perfect show.
I walked outside after I had said, break a leg to the kids backstage, and the first person I saw was Emilio Estefan. And I went up to him and I said, hello, I'm the director of the show.
They came up to me during intermission and said they were just blown away by the band.
You killed it, band. What can I tell you?
And then Dr. Barcetta told me that when they were in the green room, that they couldn't stop raving about how great the band was.
I spoke to Emilio at intermission, and when he came and talked to me, he goes, when I came to see the show, I thought I was going to watch little kids. And the fact that they pulled this off from top to bottom, I think they're ready to take on anything in the professional world, because this was an undertaking that people don't understand.
Having them in the audience and seeing how much they enjoyed it, it really showed to us that we were doing something right. And again, it goes back to inspiring me to push myself to be better and get my music to be better, to hopefully reach the same level of success that they have.
I have this box, so you can clearly see my hand. And inside of it, it has all of the good energy that we need for our closing night for this show that we worked so hard for since the summer. And when I open it, all of the good energy is going to go everywhere, so you need to make sure to get it, okay? We can't let any good energy go, okay? And wait, where's the key? Where's the key?
Amber!
Wait. amazing energy that we need, and tonight's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be our best show ever, and we know that. And
Yes!
And when Amber opens it, remember we need to get all the energy, okay? So just put it in there. You ready? You guys ready? All right.
It's a race!
No.
Whether the weather's cold, whether the weather is hot, we'll be together whatever the weather, whether we like it or not, good show. Whether the weather is cold, whether the weather is hot, we'll be together whatever the weather, whether we like it or not, good show. Whether the weather is cold, whether the weather is hot, we'll be together whatever the weather, whether we like it or not, good show.
Closing night had one of the best energies that we've ever had for any of our performances. It was amazing, like everything seemed to go perfect.
We kind of just looked at each other and said we did it, you know?
But in a way, it was also sad because that was like our last show together with like some of the people that I've been working with for years, and like that's the last time I'm probably going to be on stage with those people again, performing.
And it was the last time we were ever going to do it together, so we were playing it to make it special with each other.
After 10, 11 months of working with the same people, the same numbers, the same music, like it got in your veins, it got in your blood. I could sing and dance in my sleep if I really needed to. And to know that that was just gonna disappear was really sad.
The show has basically been my entire year right now, and knowing that it's coming to that it came to an end, it hurt because I want to keep doing it.
I feel like in a way it's also, it's the end of a chapter, but it's the beginning of a new chapter to see what, we're gonna do in the future. We can go off and do amazing things, so.
It was good, and it felt like a good closing to that chapter of my life.
We will be doing the final bow for the seniors. And then from there, we will wish you all break a leg in life.
One of the best feelings I've ever had in like a really, really long time.
I don't even know. I mean, this feels unreal. We worked so hard for this since the summer, and now it's come to an end. It's very bittersweet, I would say. We've worked so hard for this. It's a lot of fun, but it must come to an end.
On Your Feet, honestly, is my life right now. Coming from a kid who has Cuban immigrant parents, it's just one of the best feelings I've ever had in a long time. I can't wait to. It's just amazing being able to put this up for people to watch.
I love getting to spend my senior year with people that I love and new people that I've met. I met so many new people, and we got to spend like every day together, and we became close, and then we got to hang out like outside of rehearsals, and I feel like that same community that is shown in the musical was kind of built behind the scenes, and I feel like the friendships that I have will last forever.
This is gonna stand in my life for the rest of my life. On Your Feet, I created friends that I know for a fact I'm gonna have for the rest of my life. And if it weren't for On Your Feet, I wouldn't have the family that I do today.
There was so much joy every single day.
And I love that energy in rehearsal and in a performance space. It definitely makes a difference in the quality of performances that we put on.
You can't have a bad day because everything that you're dancing, you're dancing for happiness, you're dancing for like pride. It's all just like you can't have a bad day because this music is always going to lift you up, and I'm just so happy that this was the show.
I always say that if you surround yourself with people who have qualities that you want, you will attain those qualities, and then that in turn makes you a million times better. So
before On Your Feet, I was certain that I would never go into theater. I would never do that. Broadway was never going to be for me. It wasn't something that I knew anything about.
I think a lot of students, if there's one thing they got out of this, is doing professional theater is challenging, but also extremely rewarding. And it's really great when you're having fun doing something you love. So continue doing that thing that you love.
On Your Feet has been such a big part of my senior year, and I will forever be grateful and honored for the opportunity I was given to play this big role. And I want to thank all my teachers and everyone for trusting me with this and believing in me.
I always say this to the students: do what you love, and you will love what you do in life.
It is going to be part of the fiber of these children's lives, the journey that they have gone on with this one show.
On Your Feet was a blessing in disguise, and I will say that for the rest of my life. I don't think I'll ever get to perform another show like this. I had such exhilarating scenes and songs and dancing. I got to do so many things that I didn't even know I could do, and it was like a leap of faith.
You will see me making my dreams happen, just like Gloria did.
I think I'm gonna get a Tony.
It was amazing. My choreography was like amazing, and it's just amazing overall. Yeah, like I could have done it better, but it was still good. You know, like it was amazing. I can't stand you guys. Get on my face. It feels like
Why? I can't believe they're leaving us.
Turn around! Turn around. There now. Hey, how you doing? How's it going? Man, we're doing so good.
Yeah, please remember to have flights.
So good.
You complete, like when I tell you destroyed my train of thought, like you set it on fire and it's in ashes right now.